Welcome to Behind the Scenes. They call me Stepney. Tonight I am joined by Ivan, all the way in Canada. Ivan, how are you? Nice to have you on.
Thanks, Stephen. I'm happy to be on the show. And yeah, it's a little bit cold today here in Montreal, Canada, but we're going to survive. Winter's almost over, so
It feels like winter's just
summer's
begun
coming up.
over here. It's got really cold the past few days. We've dropped to nearly minus temperatures, and it-
Oh, we've been minus temperatures
oh, okay. I don't feel so
forever.
bad then. Ivan, so you're in Canada. Whereabouts? Montreal, Quebec.
Montreal,
Okay,
Quebec.
okay. So far,
So
oh, so you speak
yes, I
French as
speak
well?
French.
I speak zero French, and
Yeah, yeah.
the worst part of French I do speak is thanks to Dexter's Laboratory as a child, and he said omelette du fromage, which I hear is the wrong way to say it.
Omelette de
Yeah,
fromage.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
your French is not too bad. It's pretty good.
Um, let's kick off, Ivan. Let's start with. I usually do this one. Well, I usually do another one first, but I'm going to start off with this one. As you see, just going along the bottom of the screen there, explain it. Explain what it is you
Yeah.
do. I know what you do, but nobody else does. That's you know not a friend of yours or a colleague. So explain what it is you do.
Well, I do a lot of things actually, but in terms of movie making and production, which is my passion, I've done it all basically. I've done I started out with doing extra work on movies, and then I started acting, doing my own productions, theater productions, and graduating in theater. I did a minor in theater, but I also have passion in filmmaking. So I'm also a filmmaker, or these days it's more like content creator, as we call. I've produced my own feature film. I've produced music videos, commercials. So I've done almost every single job on set. I was a sound guy. I was like I said before, an extra, director, producer, so I've done it all. And then a couple of years back, I decided, you know what, let me try writing a book. So I became a writer as well. And obviously you're familiar with my book. It's called "Don't F Up Your No Budget Movies." So it's basically a book about producing movies with no budget. And so I guess I'm a writer, producer, director,
Now
and an actor.
it's funny because over here, if you start off as an extra, um, usually that's as far as you can go. They don't like to mix the two. How is it? How was the transition for you?
Well, I started really early as doing extra work. I think I was like 10 years old. So the transition for me was pretty easy because that was like the opening door for me for the acting. I didn't know anything about acting before doing any extra work. So I started out doing extra work, and then I met an agent, which kind of led me to doing auditions, and yeah, I just fell into acting that way. But I think doing extra work actually opened the door for me. I actually opened my eyes because that's when I realized that's what I wanted to do. Just being on set for the first time. Actually, it's a funny story because I was on set. The first time I was ever on a movie set was on a movie called The Quest with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think it was in 1994 or something. I think I was like 10 years old. And my mom brought me on set. I had no idea, what being an extra entailed or anything. She just brought me there because she thought it was going to be a fun activity if we do it together. And the second I walked in on set, that's when I knew this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be on set forever. I just fell in love with it. So yeah, extra work really opened my eyes to the business, and it helped me become an actor. So yeah, there wasn't really any closed doors for me or anything like that. It was really a great experience, and I've done some more extra work in afterwards, because it pays the bills. It's great, but I've been doing less and less just because I got busy with other projects, and and you start auditioning more and more, and you start booking some more gigs. You start being less interested in extra work. But I mean, sometimes if you get booked for 2 weeks straight, it's good money, so why not?
I mean, I've done extra work. I think it's fantastic work. Some days are great because you get a short call and you're still paid for your full day, which is great. So you're in and out. And other days can be long, and you're getting on set for
Yeah.
like 5 o'clock in the morning and then not finishing until 8 o'clock, and it's the same for 1, 2, 3 weeks, whatever it is. Um, so then you go from extra to actor
Yeah.
to
Extra to actor.
director, writing your own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I started as an extra, then I got into acting, and then I went to film school. And while I was in film school, I did a minor in theater as well. So I studied media communications and cinema, and did a minor in theater. And that's when I started writing my own stuff, writing my own short films, own commercials, and that's how I got into directing and producing. I got in touch with a local studio here in Montreal called GT Studios, and they let me work with them. And I was kind of like an assistant, and that's how I got into producing commercial for them and doing some work with them. And then I one day after I graduated school, I decided why not produce my own feature film.
That's how did it go? What was the feature film called? I mean,
The feature film is called Too Tall. It's Too Tall. It was released back in 2014. It and on Amazon, and also on, I think it's still on
yep,
Plex.
Plex
I
over
don't know
here.
if you know Plex, and a few other apps. And yeah, that was my first feature film that I actually writing that feature film came from the idea of writing that movie came from being an extra on a really, really bad set, basically. So that's another example how extra work kind of opened my eyes and opened the doors for me. It's a funny story. I was on this music video shoot, and I was an extra on the music video, and it was probably the worst experience ever. Those long days where you feel like you're just like nobody. They just put you in the corner. There's no catering, no food, no water. You're just there, dehydrated, hungry, and you're just waiting. And they're yeah, exactly. They're not using you. And it was a long shoot. And I was just so frustrated, and so I just started writing in my notebook. I brought a notebook that day, and I just started writing some stuff, and some ideas came into my mind, and I just started writing some funny stuff of some funny experiences I had on set. Because as an actor, you experience all kinds of funny stories, right? So I was just writing all my ideas on a little notepad, and just ideas started coming through, and like dialogue starts coming in. You start writing a little dialogue, and that day on set, I managed to write the first few pages of my feature film. So after I went home, I just kept writing for months and months. I kept writing, and I said, you know what? Why not produce it? I want to prove to people that I could produce a movie with little to no budget and still make something of quality. So that was
Goal
my goal.
achieved. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a really, really tough process. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I learned. It was a learning experience, even though I went to school in media production and stuff. I mean, making your own feature film, your first, especially your first one, you're going to learn so much, and it was really a learning experience. And it took me years. It took me years to actually complete it. But if I had to redo it again with the knowledge I have now, definitely would have been quicker. But that's why I wrote the book. That's why I wrote the book. Well,
hey,
here you go. A little
I'll put I'll put I'll put a link up to the book so people can buy it. Yeah,
shameless
things,
plug, right?
things you
Shameless
got
plug.
to. I mean, you are your product.
No choice. But yeah, I mean, that's why I wrote the book, which I released last year, because basically, I wanted to write a book for someone like myself that would have loved to have a simple guide, somebody just starting out that just needs a simple guide to start to produce a movie with no budget. Basically, I'm writing a book for myself for a I wanted a book that I would have loved to have back in the day, right when I first started. So
So
that's what I basically did.
we're going from extra, actor, writer, director,
Yeah, yeah,
producer,
yeah,
to author.
yeah.
I mean, you're covering all the
Yes.
bases here. What don't you do?
Well, I mean, I, I, I I like to dabble in everything, right? I mean, especially in movie production and making movies, and like I really love every single aspect of it. And I kind of get bored, unfortunately, when I do, let's say, a lot of acting. I kind of get bored of acting. I want to try something else, so I get into maybe producing or directing, and then I direct a movie, and then then I say, oh man, I'm fed up with directing now. Let me try something else. Then I might go back into acting or editing. I forgot to mention I was also a professional editor for a long time. Uh, for years and years. So yes, so I would go from editing to acting to directing, producing, and then author. Another plug. So I've really touched all the elements of filmmaking and content producing. Obviously, I've touched some elements a little bit more than others, like editing. I was editing for years and years, but yeah, I kind of like to
I'm just gonna
switch
add a
around.
couple of pro tips that you mentioned there. So yes, you started off as an extra. You started off young, 10 years old, and then you got into the acting thing. While you're doing extra work, you took a notebook and pen and started writing. Yeah, there's a lot of time that gets wasted when you're in between shots and you're not using a particular shot, and they still want you on set. Um, that's a pro tip. That's a pro tip. So anybody watching this and you're thinking, oh, I've had ideas. Start writing when you've got the free time. I guess that's the pro tip there.
Yeah,
And obviously, don't be static. I guess that keep moving. If you're finding that you're not enjoying the acting part so much, train and learn to be write your own play, become a director. Learn how to do those things. Become an author. You've always
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, yeah, always keep moving and try to learn different things. I mean, uh, trying to learn different skills. I mean, because the more tools you have, the better you're going to be equipped for any type of situation, right? So just for acting, basically, let's say you're an actor and you're on set and you have experience in producing and writing and everything, you already get a sense how things work. So there's a lot less stress on yourself, and you look a lot more professional when you're ready and you know how things work, and you're on set. You have to do your lines and that's it. And you know about the script supervisor, and you know about the sound guy, and you know about the camera, the lighting, everything, positioning. So try to learn as much
so
as you can.
we've talked about this a little bit, and what is life like behind the scenes? Yeah.
Behind the scenes, it's heaven. I no, I mean, being on set behind the scenes, it's really, I just love every single aspect of it, even if it's hard, even if it's stressful. I just love being on set. Sometimes I miss it so much. Like last year was kind of like a dry period for me. I wasn't on many sets, and I had days where man, I just wish I was on set right now. And when that happens, I kind of go back to my computer. I start writing. Like I start writing. Like now I'm writing a pilot. I want to shoot this pilot, a TV series. So being on set really inspires me. I just love being on set. I don't know what else to say. It's like I just love every single aspect. I love being with people, working on the same goal of producing, content, or just movie or commercial, whatever. And yeah, I just love it. I love being with people and
What would you
producing
say?
stuff.
Because you've done a few different roles here. What would you say the best part about being behind the scenes is it being an extra and an actor and getting to see what everybody's doing? Is it being behind the camera and directing things and watching how your vision is coming to light? What is it like?
So you're saying
Yeah.
comparing to, let's say, being in front of a camera, comparing to being in back. Well, obviously, there's a little bit less pressure I find being behind the scenes, behind the camera, than being the actual actor in front of the camera. I feel like there's less pressure. Unless you're the producer and you've invested millions of dollars, maybe maybe it's a different story. But just being behind the camera, I just It's a different feeling, obviously, and what gets me like excited is the special moments where you're recording an action and everybody's silent and actors just putting on this performance, and you know the camera's recording, but everyone is just in this moment all together, quiet, just watching this performance, and everybody's into it, even though everybody is doing their jobs, everybody has their own little tasks to do, but everybody's kind of in this moment focusing, and all of a sudden the director yells cut, and it takes a few seconds for everybody just to wake up and say, oh, hold on, we're back to normal. I think that's the special moment that I always look for, that moment where we're creating something magic. I know it sounds cliche, but we're creating something, and everybody's there focusing their energy on it, and the total silence of shooting the scene. Maybe the scene itself is not quiet, but just the total focus, the silence of focus. I don't know if that makes
You know
sense.
what? It's again for those that haven't been in that situation. I know exactly what you mean, and it is. So some things are just. I don't want to say professional. Some things are just, as you say, they're that moment. They're in the moment, and everything is just clicking
Yeah,
together. And you go, yeah,
exactly.
that was. You know, it was good. You know, it was a good take. And they go, yeah, one more for safety or something like that.
Oh,
And you go, you're not going to get better
yeah.
than that, but we'll do it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's one moment. I'll never forget this moment. It was on a student film, and I was an actor in a student film, which is great for experience, by the way, for the actors out there. If you're in film school and stuff, do as many student films as possible. It's a great experience. And I remember it was really an intense scene, and it was very dramatic. And I was by myself in the shot, and I remember I was supposed to cry or something. I was supposed to cry, and it was like dramatic. And I just remember the silence of the set. And I was just performing, and then I remember I had a few tears drop, and then the director yelled cut. Everybody was silent for a couple of seconds, and all of a sudden everybody started clapping. I'll never forget that. That was the most amazing feeling ever. It's like everybody was so into the scene. Every single, like everybody, the script writer, the sound guy, everybody was just watching the scene and was mesmerized by the moment. I'm not going to say my performance. I'm not going to say I gave the best performance ever, but it was just the moment. And yeah, that was the best feeling ever.
Has
That
it?
was the best feeling.
How was? I mean, as you say, it's a student film, and um, how was that? How was that film? Uh, how was it reviewed after it had been shot and shown? I guess at you know in the small theaters or whatever. Yeah,
You're talking about Too Tall, my movie? The way I released it, because again, I talk about this in the book. I kind of shot the movie first, and then I said I'll deal with distribution. I'll deal with releasing it once it's done, which was a huge mistake. As I mentioned in the book, always work backwards. Think about your marketing. Think about your release plan before you even shoot, before you even like start shooting or doing anything. And I didn't do that. So it was kind of tough in the beginning. I thought I was going to self-distribute at first, but that was really tough because you need the marketing behind it as well. Without the marketing, not many people are going to see it unless it's your cousins or your parents or friends and family, right? So I learned the hard way. So I released the movie at first on Vimeo, and not much marketing behind it. Not much views, not much sales, and obviously not reviews because of that. I had a couple of reviews from friends, friends that were reviewers, critics. But yeah, it took me a couple of years to figure out the marketing, and then I decided to get a sales agent, and he helped me out a lot with Too Tall, and he got me on different platforms around the world, on Amazon, iFlix. It was on many other platforms. I think it was on also on not Tubi. I mean, there's so many platforms now, but it was on a couple of platforms, and that's when actually we started working on the marketing, social media marketing, and it started getting much more views, reviews, And I'm happy to say it's gotten good reviews so far. I think it's 7 point something on
Pretty
IMDb or
good.
something. So, I mean, I think it was pretty
It-
good.
It's um, it's interesting that you've talked about getting working from back to front, and again, it's a pro tip. Me with this podcast, I'm learning, and each day that I speak with somebody, I'm learning about that person, obviously, but I'm also learning, things to do. So I'm going to use that pro tip and work back to front. Although I can't so much with this, but yeah, no, I
Yeah.
will, I'll be calling on you for some advice and experience.
Hey, no problem, no problem. I'll send you a copy of my book
I should
as
just
well,
buy
and
it. Yeah,
you know
that's easier, and
that's
then I help you out. And
don't worry, I'll send it to you. Don't worry, don't worry. Um, but that's the whole concept, and that's what I learned throughout the whole learning process of producing my own movie. Is really like marketing is like it's like one of the most important things, and figuring out who your audience is and who how to push your movie to a different audience. I mean, to your target audience. That's one of the most important things, and figuring out who your target audience is. Um, I remember being in film school and thinking, they would tell us, figure out who your target audience is. And I would always think in my mind, everybody's my audience, right? Everybody should be my audience. Everybody should see my movies. But that's not true. I mean, you really got to focus in on your target audience because your movie's not going to appeal to everybody. It's impossible. It's going to appeal to a certain amount of people, and you got to target those people. So that's one of the biggest things if you want to get your movie seen. Now, if you want to make like a artistic kind of black and white movie that it's for yourself, by all means do it, right? But don't expect like a lot of
that,
sales if you're going to make an abstract or artsy flick, right?
it's again, it's funny because in a way you do kind of make the movies for yourself. I mean, that's why you do it. You write something and then you make the movie for yourself. And but at the same time, you want everybody to like what you've done, right?
Well, I think I write it for myself because I enjoy doing it, right? I don't write the movie so I could watch it and then enjoy it myself. I write movie because I enjoy doing it, but I also write movies and make movies so other people could enjoy it, right? In a different way. I enjoy it because I love the art form. It really makes me happy just to write or to direct and stuff. Watching it, they could enjoy and laugh and cry or have all the emotions. So I'm making a movie for other people, but I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it as well.
Now, with all these things, they cost money, and that's always a
Yes.
topic that is especially when you're starting out in the industry. Um, it's the wrong one there. It should be this one. Um, how did you get funding, and is it difficult?
Write about this in the book. There's a lot of ways these days where you could get funding. Um, there's always the crowdsourcing, the crowdfunding thing. There's always getting loans. There's always credit cards. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get money these days. Obviously, saving. You save your money, obviously. Um, but the question is how to use the resources you already have and to be creative enough to make something that's good enough, right? So again, don't write a script and you have like let's say, and it's on a yacht, right? If you can't even afford a bus pass, you know what I mean. So don't write a script. Don't write a huge script in the get go. Don't start by writing a huge script that's going to need a huge budget. You should have like if you don't have a budget to start with, you need to have the producer's mindset. I mean, sorry, a non budget movie producer's mindset. So while writing, you got to think about your limitations and get creative about it. So I don't want people to think, oh, I don't have the money, I can't shoot anything. No, shoot what you can and you use your creativity to advance your project. That's what I think. And funding, like I said, there's many ways. I talk about it in the book as well. You could get brands to sponsor your movie. You could contact businesses, and I've used the artist card many times for many different locations on my movie. I was like, I'm just a poor artist. Can we just shoot in your bar or whatever it is? And a lot of times they're going to say yes because they support artists, right? So there's a lot of ways you could kind of like save a lot of money if you just say you're a starving artist.
And I suppose for local businesses and stuff, it's hopefully for them it's a bit of exposure as well. So it's,
There's that too. There's that too. But there's different angles. Different angles you could work, and you'd be surprised at how much you could do with little to no money. Especially with the technology today. I mean, look at the quality an iPhone 12 or 13 or whatever an iPhone video takes. I mean, just look at the quality. I mean, the quality of an iPhone is much better than
yeah.
movies from the 80s, right? So it's like it's crazy. So we have the cheap technology today to create great content. So now's the time. If you have no money, now's the time to
Now,
make a movie.
one of the things that I wanted to ask was obviously because you mentioned it earlier, which is about distribution. That's where I think a lot of
Mhm.
people struggle, and I'm sure you have tips and ideas in your book. What sort of things did you use to find somebody like a sales agent, as you said, to distribute?
Um, I was looking at, well, when I released Tutal, this was back in 2014. A lot of things has changed since then. There's so many streaming platforms out there now since a couple of years now. Back in 2014, there wasn't much options. There was Amazon, there was Vimeo. Netflix was really hard to get into. I still is hard to get into. But for Tutal, the sales agent actually contacted me. He had seen my movie on Vimeo and said, "Hey, listen, do you want to get distribution? I could try and find distribution for you." And so we started to work together. But all that to say is, these days there's so many streaming platforms, and everybody's looking for content. Content is gold right now. So it's not as hard getting distribution today than it was back 10, 20, 30 years ago. So there's a lot of streaming platforms. There's sales agents out there just looking, scouring the internet all day for movies, for independent films, trying to look for independent films to distribute. So it really isn't that hard actually these days because the need for content is there. And if you don't want to if you don't want to distribute you could always self-distribute, right? There's always that option.
What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges? Um, yeah, what's one of the biggest, one of your most challenging experiences as you've been going through this process? You can talk about whether it's being an extra and getting into the industry that way, being an actor and trying to get in the industry that way, being an author and trying to get published, writing and producing your own film and your own feature film. What's been your most challenging experience?
I think producing the film was really, really tough. Like I said before, producing Too Tall, because I didn't only produce, I directed. I was the main actor. Um, I obviously I tried editing it myself, which was a big mistake. I write I write about that in the book. Um, so I tried to do so much. I tried to do so much on Too Tall myself, obviously to save costs and this and that. That it was hard. Basically, it was really one of the toughest things I've ever done. It took a couple of years to finish, starting from writing it to actually releasing it. I would say maybe four of producing Too Tall was the actual shoot. The actual shoot was super easy because we're super prepared and the shoot dates were amazing. We finished on time. Everybody was amazing. The actors, the crew, they were great. It just post production was really, really tough because I tried to do everything myself. And if you don't have a good plan, especially a post production plan, if you didn't do the work backwards and plan it beforehand, it's hell. it's really tough. So post production probably lasted 2.5 years, and luckily I had two of my good friends in the film industry that helped me out and finish to help me finish Too Tall. If not, I probably still would have been editing it right now. But yeah, producing Too Tall is probably one of the toughest things, and again, that's why I wanted to write a book, to help people not go through what I went through and all the hardships. And it was really stressful, and I grew a lot of gray
I
hairs
can't
from
see
those
one though.
years
Where have you gone?
producing Too Tall. Yeah, it's right. The lighting, it's the lighting here. You don't see it, but
It's again, as I say, so as a challenging experience, and the things that you face and the learning experience, and then being able to share it. And I think that's something that's really important, isn't it? I mean, it's good to share your experiences with somebody else and say, well, look, I've made these mistakes, so you don't have to.
yeah, because like I said before, I would have loved to have this book when I started, and it's like a simple book, like it's really pocket size, right? I mean, and it's really simple, straightforward kind of instructions on what to do and what not to do. And like I said, I wished I would have had this book when I first started, and I wouldn't have made all these mistakes. But you know what? It was a learning experience. I learned so much, and
And
now
what's
I
the
have
book
this
called
book.
again? Just so we know.
There you go. I'm not going to say the F word
It's fine. This is
on
adult
air.
content.
But there you
Everybody
go.
seems to like swearing.
Okay, okay.
um, what would you say has been your best experience? What would you say has been your best experience, either from the book or from the film, or as an actor, extra? What have been your best experiences?
As an actor, actually, I've had so many great experiences. Every time I'm on a movie set, it's usually as an actor, it's so it's fulfilling. I mean, I'll never forget my first ever feature film, which I co-starred in. It was called
Sounds
Bikini
great.
Girls on Ice.
Oh,
So this was a horror film. It was a horror film. I think it was released back in 2008 or nine. And there's actually a sequel. Actually, it's called Pinup
sounds
Dolls
great.
on Ice. So yeah, just so that was such a great experience. We shot here in Montreal, and just being young and being on set for the first time, and just it was a big cast, so being amongst friends, other actors, it was just a great experience. And then I mean, I was on sets, small sets. Like I went from being on student film sets to independent films to big Hollywood sets, like the X-Men, right? And that was such a great experience as well. I was a body double for Colossus on X-Men, and I got to be on set
Nice.
for almost 2 months. I was on set for 2 months here, and you get to experience like the huge Hollywood sets. All the big, and you spend millions of dollars on these amazing sets, and you really feel like you're in a different world. And that was such a great experience seeing all the Hollywood actors acting, like Halle Berry, Hugh Jackman. That was also a great experience. I mean, there's so many great experiences. I can't really pick one, but just things are coming back to my mind now. And
It's
yeah,
you know what, being on
yeah,
set,
just
and over here there's a difference. Okay, so when you're an extra, especially on a big call, when there's 100, 150 of you, or whatever,
yeah,
even anything over 10, basically, and you're treated
yeah,
like cattle. And they still go, oh yeah, you guys are over there all the time, and don't talk to the actors and stuff like that. When you're
yeah.
a stand-in or a double, you're treated better. They treat you like,
Hmm. You have your own trailer. You have your own trailer. You have your own. You sit with the main actors for catering. You could sit next to Halle Berry, well, yeah, or Hugh Jackman, or whatever, all the big actors. But like you said, when you're an extra, you have your own little room
yep.
there. The catering is different. You don't get the same quality of food. No trailer. They put you in a little room with all the other extras.
I
It's
mean,
funny,
I
yeah,
said I always like the extra life, and it was funny because I was a double stand-in for on Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part Two, and I did a bit for
yeah,
a couple of characters, about three different characters, so Blaze, um, and then one kid from Gryffindor, and one other guy, just as a stand-in or a double from far away.
Yeah.
And then I was a Death Eater, and they there was a night shoot, and there was, like I said, probably about up to 100 of us, and we're all Death Eaters, and we're apparating, and we're doing all this sort of stuff, and yeah, we were just treated like cattle. It was just like, yeah, we've heard you. And the thing is, because I'd done some of the uh, body double stuff before, um, I was thinking, okay, yeah, these guys would
Yeah.
treat me differently, but no, they didn't. They're just like, no, you're an extra in
Yeah.
this situation, and
No, they
yeah, it was
didn't.
so bizarre because you just think, hey,
Oh no,
guys, we
no,
were
that's
chilling like
fair.
last
No.
week.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah. No, it's totally different. It's so strange, but I mean, doing extra work is, I mean, it's good for two things, right? It's good for having experience on set. You get a lot of experience being on set, and two, I mean, you can make some pretty good money if you do the long hours,
Well,
obviously.
okay,
But
so over there, like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier. Over there, um, being an extra can help you get good experience, right?
I
Yeah.
mean, experience on set, right? So you kind of learn the way things work on set, right? So, I mean, if you're a curious person, you could watch, you watch and you learn, you know, what's going on set. It's you know, it's I find it good. I mean, some people actually, when I started doing extra work, I didn't know anything about production. But you know, if you look a little bit and you could really learn, and if you listen, you can learn what people say, how they do
And you can
things,
go
and
from
yeah.
extra to actor, no problems. Yeah.
In terms of, well,
Yeah.
oh, he does extra work, right? But it never really uh, you know, hurt my chances for anything. I always did auditions, no problem. The only issue is, in order to get into the union, you know, to get the good parts, right, you have to be in the union, and to audition for union productions, you have to have a union card, and you can't get your union card by doing extra work, right? You have to actually book a union job, or you could graduate from theater. I think if you have a major in theater, you could get your union card right away. I couldn't get mine right away because I only did a minor in theater. So the way I got my union card is by, you know, auditioning. Finally, I booked a role and I got the union card. Here in Canada, it's called ACTRA. I don't know what it's called in the UK. It's
It's called your equity card, I think it is. I'm
equity.
pretty sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we've
so
got
it's
equity over
ACT.
here. Again, and I was speaking to somebody
Cool.
else in another podcast about this, and I said the difficulty is, as we've seen, as you know, you mentioned with technology and how it's changed the landscape of things. Um, it seems a shame that people can't just say, "Listen, I got into the extra work to get on-screen experience as an actor." And to hold that against me
Yeah,
when I'm trying to get the experience that's needed, so I know what to do when I'm on set. So I don't look frightened or anything like that, and I know where to place myself, and I know what the key words are that people use and stuff like that. It always seems quite
yeah.
bizarre to put that sort of restriction on people, saying, well, yeah, you know, you were an extra and stuff like that. But like I said, the way technology is now, as you said, people are shooting stuff, great stuff with
Yeah.
minimum to no experience whatsoever, but producing high quality content, and it's been able to, you know, share it with the world and go out there. So yeah, it's bizarre.
I mean, you know, like I said, I've always heard that stigma about doing extra work. You know, it's not going to help you in your career, this and that. But I mean, I've never seen it with my own eyes. I've never experienced that. I mean, for me, if you're good enough, if you're good enough an actor, they're going to hire you no matter what. Even if you did extra work or not, if your audition is great, they're going to hire you, right? So yeah, you know, I wouldn't tell people don't do extra work. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, uh, do it as much as you can. I mean, like I said, it pays the bills, and it's great experience on set. So don't ever think, if I do extra work, oh, it's going to hurt my roles. Unless you're an established actor, if you're already an established, you know, then it might be kind of weird if you go back to doing extra work, right? But I don't think
I mean, you
it should
still see
stop
some
you.
established actors do walk-on parts. I mean, especially on things like Star Wars and stuff
Yeah.
where you have to wear lots of makeup and costume and stuff, so where people won't recognize you. I mean,
Hey, walk on roles, silent roles. I love that stuff. Who's running after you? This that you get your makeup done. I mean, it's perfect.
I could
I
do that
love
all
that
day.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
um,
I,
who's your biggest inspiration in your? And I open this question up, and I know what it says on the bottom there, but I open this question up. Who's your biggest inspiration, whether it be in your field of work? So you've got a few different fields to cover there, or just in general. Who's your inspiration and motivator?
um, inspiration. I was always inspired. I used to watch a lot of movies as a kid. Right. My brother and cousin and I, we always sit around watch movies all the time. And actually, there's no single one movie that actually inspired me, but just watching movies inspired me. Movies inspired me to and then walking on an actual movie set inspired me to become or to do what I've done so far. So there's not really one movie or one person that actually inspired me to do what I do. It's really the art form. But if sometimes I work hard and I want to finish projects, and I always think I want to make my parents proud. That's one thing. I really want to make my parents proud. So I try to you know do the best I can, just so I make I can make them seem proud. I don't know if that's it's a little bit corny, but
We're all the
yeah,
same.
it is what it is. So I guess they kind of inspire me, I guess, because they sacrificed a lot in their lives for my brother and I. So I want to try to give back to them by doing the best I could in my
Yeah,
projects.
I mean, I think when I speak to a lot of people, and um, it's similar. It's not corny. It's not cheesy. It's not anything. It's just what the fact is. Some people, we watched
Yeah,
films when we were younger, and that inspired us to. It wasn't it may not
yeah,
have been one particular film, but
yeah,
we watched films and we liked how that worked. And we liked how
exactly.
the mechanics behind it worked, and wanted to find out a bit more and learn a bit more. But without having that
Yeah,
support network behind you, sometimes it's not always easy to,
yeah,
to get from A to B. And yeah, with that support network, that gives you the inspiration to go on. So yeah, it's not corny. It's great stuff. And
yeah. That's I. But yeah, you're 100% right. That support system it was really important for me. Actually, my parents always supported me in everything I did. So it always encouraged me and gave me the courage to step out there and try stuff. So for all you young parents out there, I would recommend all our kids can't all be like lawyers or bankers or accountants. They could be artists as well. They could be filmmakers. They could be actors. So yeah, so encourage your kids. That's my message to young
support the
parents
next
out there.
generation.
Exactly.
Um, if you could,
Yeah.
who would you like to interview?
Oh, good question. Dead
It's
or
entirely up
alive
to you.
or past,
No, it doesn't
present?
matter.
Does it matter?
Doesn't no? You can choose
Doesn't
whoever you
matter.
want. Dead, alive, alien, indifferent.
In terms of artists, one of my favorite artists of all time was Prince, musical artist and just an artist in general. So if I could, go back in time somehow and interview Prince, that would be like the ultimate interview for me. Yeah,
And we'll end on this nice one. Um, it's time for you to plug something.
yeah. Uh, I think I
No,
already
no, keep
plugged
plugging.
enough. No,
What are you currently working on?
I keep
Is
plugging.
there going to be a second book? Is there going to
Right
be?
now, like not right now. No second book for now. I'm still kind of promoting my current book,
Hey,
which is "Don't F Up Your No
thanks.
Budget Movie"
Is
by
this
Ivan Peric.
is this the book? Yep.
Get a good
Get a
shot,
close up.
screenshot. So
Oh, paint the wrong
yeah,
way.
here we go. It's a yeah. It's available on Amazon and all the big bookstores across the world. So I'm not sure what big bookstores you have there in the
Water.
UK,
Okay.
but it should be available. It should be available. If it's not at the store, you could just ask them to search it in their system, and they could probably order it for you. But yeah, so it's available on Amazon. My movie Too Tall is available if you Google it, probably on demand on Amazon. It's probably on demand on Vimeo as well, and a couple more platforms, streaming platforms. And I'm currently working on a TV series pilot that I just wrote. I finished writing the first episode, and I'll be looking to produce it, hopefully,
Thank you very
soon.
much, Ivan.
Oh,
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm also
of
auditioning a lot.
course.
I'm also auditioning a lot for parts. I'm always
No,
auditioning.
no, you've always got to
Sorry, I
be in the
cut you
game.
off.
So the book one more time, just in case we missed it, because
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
my glasses steamed up a little bit. Don't fuck up your no budget movie.
There you go.
Is that correct? Yep, yeah, I can see.
Yeah, inexpensive filmmaking. It's called inexpensive filmmaking in this content-hungry age. So we're in an age where people are always content hungry, and it's really we're in a time where content is king, content is gold, and technology is really affordable. So anybody can produce content. So
Ivan, thank you
there you
very
go.
much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. He's been Ivan.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
They call me Stepney. I don't know. I had it right in my head. They call me Stepney. He's been Ivan. It's been a pleasure. From London to Montreal, we thank you and good night. Ivan, this is where we
Thanks,
start waving
Stephen.
to the
Thanks,
camera
everyone.
and pretend we're talking as it goes silent.
Okay, there you go.